Sonos has just announced the Sonos Ace active noise cancelling headphones, and they are claiming that this is the most anticipated product that we've all been waiting for. Now, I thought so too, but that's the opinion of one. So I asked you guys in the poll recently, and thanks to all 1,300 of you who responded to my poll, I found that it wasn't the most anticipated, well, at least amongst all the viewers on this channel. The Sonos Arc Gen 2 is actually the most anticipated product that Sonos has yet to release, and they didn't launch it in the first half of 2024. So the first product release of 2024 is the Sonos Ace, and the moment that they announced it, I asked again how many of you would actually get it. Now again, big thanks to all 1,500 of you who responded. 29% of you said that you would get it. Most of you who already have a Sonos soundbar to use it with. So Sonos, you're not really getting any more of your existing users to buy into it, but actually, the more important segment that Sonos is interested in are those who currently do not have a Sonos soundbar or any products from Sonos, right? And yep, that's right, new to Sonos users, only 3% of the respondents said they will get the Sonos Ace, even though they don't have a Sonos soundbar. So a total of 71% of the 1,500 respondents said they won't be getting the Sonos Ace headphones. Well, this is probably not the number that Sonos wants to see. They want a lot of people to get the Sonos Ace, and based on the responses, most people won't be getting it. But that's before today's full review of the Sonos Ace. Now, things are going to change, and I'm warning you, it is going to change. Now, I've already introduced all the features, but today's video is my own personal take on the headphones after having used it for the past 1 week. When I was making the last announcement video, you can see me gesticulating because I didn't have the Sonos Ace in my hands. I only had a brief demo of the headphones from the Sonos Media event, but this time round, I've had a lot of time to play around with the headphones and listen to it carefully. Now, as with all my videos, I love to give you the upfront summary so you don't have to waste any time watching the rest of the video. This pair of headphones is probably the best headphones you can buy at about US $500 mark. Sound is crisp through the high end of the frequency spectrum. Mid-range is kind of forward, and if you are into vocals and movies, this will really give you the right experience. Bass in itself is not overexerted, so you won't be having a headache from all the thumping that is happening right next to your ears. Now, the noise cancellation features, it really edges out the competition. And I do mean that, right? I tested out how well it filters out white noise against the Apple AirPods Max, the QC Ultra from Bose, and the Sony WH-1000XM5. I was very surprised, but it did perform the best amongst the bunch, the Sonos Ace. So usability is very, very good. Very strong design consideration for the user experience. I like the software. Now, battery life is great. I will touch on the physical attributes in my detailed review in just a few minutes, but the whole package is very well thought out, very well put together. Now, there are special features that this headphone has that no other headphone has. Two notable ones are the ability to connect the headphones to any computer, tablet, laptops, phones using USB-C cable, and it works to transfer the sound. Now, the other special feature, which is sound swap, it works for Sonos soundbar owners only, and it transfers the sound from the TV to the Sonos Ace. Sure, I mean, this feature is actually available on other brands' headphones, but Sonos implements this via Wi-Fi, not Bluetooth. This enables almost zero perceptible lag and no latency, so you get no lip sync issues, and the sound you're hearing is completely in sync with what you are seeing. From this feature set is True Cinema, which is like True Play except it's for headphones, mimicking how your room sounds like. Now, although at this moment, at this point in time, the feature has not yet been implemented, so if you get the Sonos Ace within the next few days or the first few weeks of June, you might have to wait a bit for True Cinema to actually roll out to the Sonos Ace. Now, if you have benefited from this upfront summary, I appreciate at least a thumbs up for the video. And if you love my content and want more of this, do consider subscribing to the video and check out my other content on this channel. If you want to find out more about the prowess of the Sonos Ace, do stay on and hear me out while I explain to you why this is probably the best headphones you can buy today, even if you don't have a single Sonos speaker at home. So let's move on to the meat of the review. Now, I've mentioned before that the sound is great, the treble is very crisp, the mid-range is slightly boosted and it helps out vocals and speech. Bass is not as pronounced as some other headphone brands, notably the Sony. And for headphones, they do tend to resolve a lot more details that you can hear because it shuts out environmental sounds and the drivers are actually just right next to your ears. And these have noise cancellation. Active noise cancellation, which also means they are closed back cans. You will hear the details. And to carry the details, I was actually worried that Sonos is still sticking to only SBC and AAC Bluetooth transmission, but they have opted for aptX Adaptive, which carries higher resolution audio over Bluetooth. Now, note that I said higher resolution, not high-res audio. Now let's get one thing clear. If you want high-res audio, this is not the route to take, right? You go with other brands and you might even go wired, right? These cans are not for critical listening, but if you want enjoyable music, these are the ones to get, right? And aptX Adaptive already gives Android user an enhanced higher bitrate, lower latency transmission. It's just too bad that Apple devices only supports the basic AAC and SBC, so you won't be able to take advantage of the higher bitrate aptX Adaptive. So for sound, it gets very hard to convince you with words. So I've lined up a special recording. I'm using a pair of mics, and this mic here that I have, they are very, very small, custom fit. Well, not custom fit, but it fits into my ears, right? And when I actually put them in my ears and I wear my headphones over, I play back something on the TV, right? And this is Atmos. It's supposed to go through the Sonos Arc, but I sound swap it to the Sonos Ace so that you can actually hear exactly what I'm hearing. And this is how it sounds like.
This is Dolby Atmos, the world's first object-based cinematic audio. With powerful moving audio that transcends from channels to moving around you with pinpoint accuracy. Whether the soundscape sets the mood of a scene,
Come on, you guys, let's go.
or captures the full extent
Do you want to know my secret?
of nature's fury.
So there you have it. I've gone through a couple of movies and TV programs with the Sonos Ace, and I have thoroughly enjoyed them. I didn't have enough time to listen to a lot of music, but suffice to say that I found most of the tracks that I've listened it for Atmos Music, it actually works very well over through Apple Music. The player actually does register this as an Atmos playback device, even though it's over Bluetooth. Now, for music performance, I'll say that it is not the most musical sounding pair of cans. For simpler tracks like a cappella or vocals heavy songs, they work great. Classical music is easy to listen to. Pop songs and rock songs, where there may be a few more instruments and they're being layered in, they stumble on the slightly more complex passages. I put some of the bass heavy tracks through the cans, and the good thing is that it handled the bass very well without distortion. So the bass performance is adequate, and its ability to handle bass, well, isn't the reason why it stumbles on the more complex tracks. It just doesn't handle very complex tracks very well. So volume-wise, it's actually quite good for music. The one thing that I noted was that when sound swap was activated from the Sonos Arc to the Sonos Ace headphones, I did have to max out the volume to get loud enough. There just isn't enough headroom for movies. I hope that this serves as feedback for the Sonos team. We do need a bit more volume when sound swap is activated. Well, in use, the noise cancellation is actually so good that I'm not missing out too much of the outright volume. Your soundtrack won't have to compete with the surrounding noise from your environment in order to be heard. Everything is very quiet, so you don't miss the volume as much. Which then brings us to the next point, noise cancellation. For the longest time, if you wanted the best noise cancellation in the market, you went for a pair of Bose. The Bose QC Ultra is easily the best noise cancelling headphones on the market right now. The Sony WH-1000XM5 is also a very good pair of noise cancelling headphones. So if you chose one of these two, you probably will be in a very good place. The AirPod Max. Okay, let's talk about the AirPod Max, right? From Apple, it came in to challenge the king and the queen, but it landed itself a role as the court jester. These heavy cans, they cost so much more, and not much more than a fashion statement rather, and also a way to show that you're willing to wear $550 on your head. Now, the world was a good, quiet place to be, right? With either the Sony or the Bose. Until today, the Sonos Ace, quite simply, is distinctly better than either of them. Now, when I first put on the Sonos Ace, I had a strange feeling about them. I was very familiar with both the Bose as well as the Sony performance when it comes to active noise cancelling. But when I put on the Sonos Ace, I immediately felt that the ANC was a step up, cutting out more noise from the outside world. I felt a veil of silence, literally, right? So I was prepared to actually have the ANC performance of the Sonos come in under both the Bose and the Sony, given how new Sonos is to the game. And Sony has been doing it for a while. Bose has been doing it for the longest time. I did not expect that I could immediately tell that the noise cancellation power on the Sonos Ace is actually better than the Bose and the Sony both. Now, I did a series of tests and I confirmed that the Sonos Ace cut out more white noise than the rest of the top of range headphones. Now, basically what I did was I played a consistent volume of white noise coming out from the Sonos Arc system that I have in my studio right here. I then stuffed these two mini micro mics into my ears and I recorded the amount of filtered noise that are coming into any of the through any of the headphones that I have tested. I then pushed these recorded files through a spectrum analyzer and measured the amount of sound recorded at each frequency. Now, I'll be doing a very detailed video on this particular ANC test and letting you hear exactly what I recorded, as well as step you through the spectrum analysis of the recorded frequencies after being dampened by the ANC for each of these scans. I cannot do everything in one video, and the ANC capability is so strong that it deserves its own video. So if you are interested, do check back on this channel, and I can release that video very soon after I get the video made. So for now, you just have to accept from me that I have done the testing and I find the Sonos Ace noise cancelling to deliver beyond my highest expectations. Now, if you have no other reasons to buy a new pair of headphones, the ANC power on the Sonos Ace could just be that one reason that you're willing to spend $450 on that. Now, maybe I should refer to the noise cancelling power rather than active noise cancellation, right? Because there are two components to noise cancelling: active and passive. Now, to be fair, it is not just the active component, which uses the 6 external mics and 2 internal mics to measure the ambient sound and playing back the opposing waves to cancel them out. It could also be a function of the passive noise cancellation features on the Sonos Ace. They work very well both together to provide the strongest noise cancellation that I've ever experienced to date. Now, this is my personal opinion, and you are definitely entitled to your own opinion. There will be others who will swear by any other brands. So be it, right? The world is big enough for everyone to live in together. We don't have to agree to love each other. I don't agree with my wife 80% of the time, but we're still married to each other. So this is my personal opinion. The Sonos Ace is probably the best pair of headphones that I currently own when it comes to noise cancellation. So good that you probably can't hear the alarm if you have them on. And for a while, the new Sonos S2 app couldn't set alarms, so maybe that's why the Sonos engineers thought it was a good idea to take out alarms. Okay, so yes, it's that good. Active and passive working together to provide best-in-class noise cancellation. Now, I want to talk about the passive noise cancellation, but I can't talk about passive noise cancellation without talking about the physical attributes of the Sonos Ace. So let's move on to the design and the build of the Sonos Ace. So the Sonos Ace is a very well put together package in terms of build quality and design. Color-wise, you're just limited to black and this off-white that I have here. Sony and Bose both offers one more choice of colors, I think green or blue, whatever, right? And the Apple AirPods Max, they give you like 5 colors to choose from. So you have your silver and the black, or actually it's the space gray, and then you get your light green, light blue, light red, pink, I don't know. Anyway, not important. The headbands and removable ear cups are made from smooth, wrinkle-free vegan leather. It covers some kind of memory foam inside, which helps to conform to your head very, very well. Now, more importantly, the ear cups are what I feel enhances the noise cancelling abilities of the Sonos Ace. It really fills up all the gaps between the headphones and your face so that it blocks out all the external sounds. Now, even when I'm just putting on to my head, I can feel the outside world when it's turned on actually. So the noise cancellation is off, but my God, it's so quiet. So even being this plush, the ear cups never made it uncomfortably hot to wear for long sessions. In terms of comfort, these are probably on par with the Bose QC Ultra. Well, definitely much better than the Sony WH-1000XM5, for sure. The headbands and the ear cups are connected and held together by a steel band here. There are no visible wires and everything is internally routed within this steel band here. Now, they are infinitely adjustable. Well, as in there are no clicks and no stops in between. Not that you can adjust to an infinite size. Now, on that, I actually do feel that the bands might just be a tad too small for my head size. For a small group of users, right? I'm maxing out the headbands for my head size. I don't know if my head is the top 1 percentile of the human population, but I suspect this might end up being a little bit too small and too short for Gimli. The ear cups are rather large, but the cavity inside is not so big, right? This is due to the larger ear pads. Well, at least the large ear pads, it cuts out the external sound passively very, very well. So again, my ears may just be a little larger than most humans. I don't know. They just fit nicely within these ear cups, but I think Legolas may have an issue with the tighter fit. So take a close look at my head size and my ear size. Let me know in the comment section down below if you think my head or ears are too big for humans. If you are an elf with exceptionally large ears or a dwarf with exceptionally large heads, let us know too. We want to know. Now, in terms of battery life, the Sonos Ace is quoted at 30 hours of playback, even if you turn the ANC on. Now, I charged the battery to full last evening. This morning, I started a series of testing, recording, and listening to music, and doing sound swap with the Sonos Arc. And the battery has dropped to about 82% at about 3:30 p.m. Now, take away my lunch and my breaks, I probably had them working for about 4 hours in total. Extrapolating that, and not in a regimental test kind of way, it is definitely good for over 22 hours. I was using SoundSwap, which uses Wi-Fi to communicate with the Sonos Arc, and that takes up more battery. So if it is just on Bluetooth alone, 30 hours should not be a problem. Now, do note that SoundSwap consumes more battery than Bluetooth, right? Because SoundSwap from the Sonos soundbar to the Sonos Ace transmits sound using Wi-Fi, not Bluetooth, and Wi-Fi sucks power. Now, the last physical detail I need to talk about is this USB-C port here. It is a common port. It is a physical feature. It looks like any other USB-C port on any other headphones, but it is much more than that. This is the first special feature of the Sonos Ace that I mentioned in my upfront summary. Almost every other current day headphones will use a USB-C port, Sony, and the Bose USB-C port for charging. Well, of course, the silly AirPod Max uses proprietary Lightning connector, which is probably as old as the micro USB connector, putting it squarely in the dark ages. Now, the Sonos Ace is up to date. It uses USB-C for charging. But not only is it up to date, it is advanced. Sonos provides a 3.5 mm to USB-C cable, which is in the package itself is pretty long, I think 1.2 meters. So 3.5 mm to USB-C. You plug the USB-C end to your Sonos Ace, and this any old device, analog device, you can do it. Well, the Sony and the Bose, they both provide 2.5 or 3.5 mm inputs for their purpose, bypassing the circuitry. The AirPod Max, this guy here, it also uses a 3.5 mm, but is to Lightning cable, and you have to pay extra for that. Yep, extra $30 more on top of the $550 that you're already paying for the AirPods Max. But that is still not advanced enough. This USB-C port on the Sonos Ace actually accepts a USB-C to USB-C cable. Of course, it's provided, and then you can use this to connect any device like a laptop, tablet, mobile phone, or your computer. The host device will actually recognize the Sonos Ace as a sound output device, right? I have not seen this feature anywhere else. This means that there is actually a sound card on the Sonos Ace itself. Oh wait, I take it back. It is actually like one of those video calling headsets which you use at work. It plugs into your laptop to take calls. Plantronics, Poly, there are devices that work that way, with one end being a USB-C connector. But mainstream music headphones, I don't recall any implementation like that. So I tried this feature with the iPad, with the MacBook, with the iPhone, and it works right away. And quite an amazing thing is that when I plug it in, not only will the sound play via the Sonos Ace right away, not using Bluetooth, using this connected cable, it actually charges at the same time using a connection to your iPhone, and you're not breaking anything. You're just you keep on listening. Now, there are definitely features that I'm not going into details today. Why? Because the video would otherwise be way too long. Now, if you need the lowdown on those feature set, I recommend that you watch my announcement video where I've covered almost everything in summary. Those points that I've picked out today are the things that I have tested within the last 1 week of intensive use of the Sonos Ace. Now, I'm going to move on from the physical attributes and features, and I want to take a look at wireless connectivity. Now, first and foremost, the Sonos Ace is a pair of Bluetooth headphones, but it also has a Wi-Fi module built in. When you use Sound Swap with a Sonos soundbar, it transfers the sound from the TV to you via the Sonos soundbar over Wi-Fi. Now, this is special feature number 2, Sound Swap and True Cinema. Now, it is great in a sense that it actually is almost latency free over Wi-Fi as compared to Bluetooth. Now, Bluetooth has a latency in the range of low hundreds of milliseconds, around 200 milliseconds thereabout, right? And that's for AAC and SBC. aptX Adaptive, which is a form of Bluetooth codec, it helps lower that to tens of milliseconds, around 50 to 80 milliseconds. Now, Wi-Fi is on another whole new level altogether. Good numbers for Wi-Fi latency is in the range of single-digit range. Like, this is my home Wi-Fi. This works out to be only 6 milliseconds. Now, it includes the round trip to an external speed test server on the internet and back, right? At the highest is 10 millisecond and the fastest is 5 millisecond. That's Wi-Fi, right? This is many, many times more responsive than the lowest latency Bluetooth codec out there. So when you're watching video and listening to audio soundtrack from the video, it is important as it helps to avoid the lip sync issue. Now, this is really why the Sonos Ace is made for movie watching. And you really need a Sonos soundbar to take full advantage of it. Now, today at launch, only the Sonos Arc is supported, but they'll be extending support to the Beam Gen 2 and the Sonos Ray, as well as the Beam Gen 1. That's a soundbar made 6 years ago, 2018. And Wi-Fi is also capable of much higher bandwidth, which means to say adding another pair of the Sonos Ace to the soundbar will not exceed the bandwidth requirements even for surround soundtrack. Wi-Fi is also needed for True Cinema and head tracking. The Sonos Ace requires a communication channel back to the Sonos soundbar. This transmits your head tracking position to the soundbar. And when you enable this feature by turning your head, the balance of sound changes and you get the impression that the sound is still locked to the screen. So if there's dialogue happening here and you're looking up straight at the TV screen and you turn your head around, the sound actually still transfers to the left side. It still appears to be coming from the TV. So this is very useful when you're watching video, but less so for music. And I don't know why Sonos has still enabled head tracking for music. True Cinema is like True Play for the Sonos Ace. It takes the in-room measurement using the Sonos Ace onboard mics. There are 6 external mics here. It maps out how the sound waves from the Sonos soundbar is interacting with the room, and it replicates how your room sounds right into the Sonos Ace itself. Actually, I don't know if your room sounds like shit. Does it make the sound like shit? Not sure. The feature actually has yet to be enabled as of today, but it should be coming soon. Now, when I tried out this feature at the Sonos media event, I was immediately taken aback how close the Sonos Ace sounded to the actual demo room itself when it was playing through the Sonos Arc. Now, because of the amount of data that the mics on the Sonos Ace needs to transmit back to the Sonos Arc, it will also use the Wi-Fi channel for its implementation. So, beyond Wi-Fi, I like to talk a little bit more about Bluetooth. Note that there is no AirPlay 2 on the Sonos Ace. Now, when it comes to audio transmission, it is only regular AAC and SBC Bluetooth. aptX Adaptive if you are using Android-based phones that supports aptX adaptive. Now, Sonos is not showing so much love for Apple users now who wants to rely on wireless connectivity, although I must say that this is more an Apple problem than a Sonos one. Apple simply does not support anything beyond AAC and SBC, but Apple does have AirPlay 2, which unfortunately the Sonos Ace doesn't support. So while I've mentioned that Wi-Fi is used to transmit sound when using sound swap with a Sonos soundbar, this does not mean that the Sonos Ace is capable of Wi-Fi audio streaming. There is no onboard streamer on the Sonos Ace, and it doesn't use the Wi-Fi channel for downloading audio stream from the internet. The Wi-Fi module on the Sonos Ace is strictly peer-to-peer, P2P module that will only allow communication with another Sonos soundbar. The Sonos Ace is not a Wi-Fi streamer. Now, the closest to a Wi-Fi streamer in a headphone is in the form of a pair of headphones from Head, and that's the Head Unity. Head Unity costs $2,200 has a 6 to 8 hour battery life, which brings us to the price and the final conclusion of the Sonos Ace. The Sonos Ace is $449. In Singapore, buying from Touchon Acoustic is going to cost you $699. Now, if you are using it as a pair of Bluetooth headphones with a mobile device, it's kind of expensive. A little bit more expensive than the Sony or the Bose QC Ultra, both range toppers, right? The street price, the gap is likely to be larger as the Sony and the Bose regularly runs for a lot less than the SRP, the suggested retail price. Now, as a Bluetooth headphone, the asking price is a little high. Now, the sound quality can justify it, but the Sony and the Bose isn't too bad and not too shabby for sound quality either, and it costs a lot less. Now, you will need to then ask yourself if you can make the special standout features of the Sonos Ace work for you. So first special feature, the USB-C connector. Now, if you are frequently swapping devices between the phones, the tablets, the laptops, and the computers, the direct USB-C connection can be a real charm. So is it worth that extra money? Only you can answer that. Now, if you are a Sonos soundbar user, special feature number 2, sound swap and True Cinema then comes into play to use the Wi-Fi module for latency-free, lag-free audio streaming and room correction for your movie nights. Now, I'll say that if you don't have a soundbar from Sonos today, shelling out for a Sonos Ace is quite a tough call. But if you have a soundbar from Sonos and you want a pair of new cans, then this will be it. Now, for people spending money on a pair of active noise cancelling headphones, the pure performance of the noise cancellation on the Sonos Ace is probably the one reason why you would spend on the Sonos Ace, even if you already have the Sony or the Bose. The Sonos Ace, in summary, is quite simply the best noise cancellation device out there. Probably the single best reason to buy them today. Now, if you missed my other video on the Sonos Ace announcement, do check it out right here. If you are considering which Sonos soundbar to get for yourself to use with the Sonos Ace, check out this video right here. And I will see you in one of those videos or in the next video where I talk about the super noise cancellation test that I've done to prove that these are indeed the best noise cancelling headphones on the market today. And I will see you.